Okay, let's look at this example here. I have to find BC. I have to find segment BC, capital B, capital C. So this segment here. So if I look here, how many triangles do I have? How many triangles do I have? Well, I have A, B, C. That's one triangle. I also have A, B, D. It's another triangle. Those are both right triangles. Whenever I'm using B, B is the right angle. But if I look at triangle ACD, that is not a right triangle. ACD is not a right triangle. So I cannot use the Pythagorean theorem to find this side with these two sides. Okay, this is not triangle ACD is not a right triangle, so I wouldn't do that. So what I can do is I look at triangle ABD. ABD. Well, that's a right triangle, and I know the hypotenuse, which is AD. AD is the hypotenuse, and 8. So I can find this side here. I can find this side, BD. Okay, so let's try and find that. And remember the formula when looking for one of the sides. So this is the side that I'm looking for, this side here. What is the formula when we're looking for one of the sides? Let's write it down. Okay, so in order to find BD, this whole thing, I'm going to use the 18 and the 8. So that, let's call this whole thing A. Let's call it A. So if this would be A here, small a, then A equals the square root of the hypotenuse, which is 18. So 18 squared minus 8 squared. So again, I'm looking at this big triangle. I'm looking at this big triangle here. That's what I'm looking at, this big right triangle. And that's 18 is the hypotenuse and 8 is the one of the other sides. So now I'm going to work this out. So A equals square root of 18 squared. So what is 18 squared? 18 squared, that's 324. 324 minus 64. So A equals the square root of 324 minus 64. So 324 minus 64 equals 260. So it's the square root of 260. And the square root of 260 is, take the square root. The square root of 260 is 16.12. Okay, 16.12. So 16.12. Now we just found here, we found this whole thing here. We found BD. So this whole thing is 16.12. But this side's 10. So what is segment BC? What is the measure of segment BC? Well, segment BC, well actually, we're actually finding this too. Let's find that too here. So I'm going to find that side too. So segment BC is, well, it's 16.12 minus 10. So let's write that. So segment BC is this whole thing, which we found BD, this whole thing we found, which is A, which was 16.12. So it's 16.12 minus 10, which is 6.12. 6.12. So now we know this part. That is 6.12. Let's write it in here. 6.12. And now to get this, the hypotenuse of triangle ABC, now I can use the formula C equals the square root of this squared plus this squared. So let's do that. So in order to find the measure of segment AC, which is the hypotenuse, it's the hypotenuse of triangle ABC. So now I'm finding this, and that's the hypotenuse. So I have to use this formula. It's 8 squared plus 6.12 squared. 6.12 squared. That's the number I just found. So AC equals 64 plus, so 8 squared is 64. Now 6.12 squared, I have my calculator. I have the number here, so subtract 10. It's 6.12. I have the exact answer. So I didn't press cancel on my calculator. I have the exact answer, 6.12 squared, 37.51. 37.51. So I'm going to write that here. 37.51. So AC is going to measure the square root of 64. So let's go back. Plus 64. So it's 101.51. So this is 101.51, and the square root of that is a little bit more than 10, right? Because 10 times 10 is 100. So if I take the square root of this number, 10.08. My final answer here is 10.08, and that's the measure of this one here. 10.08. So here we have to find the two measures. First we found the big side, and we have to subtract the 10. We got this little side is 6.12. Then we use these two sides of the right triangle to find the hypotenuse. That's a great example. You can start it over from scratch and see if you can do it.